Picture this. It's the year 1773. You are staring out at the vast, completely uncharted expanse of the South Pacific. British explorer Captain James Cook has just arrived at a lush archipelago, and he is met with such lavish festivities and welcoming warmth that he immediately dubs them the Friendly Islands. It's an image of a tranquil paradise that has stuck in the Western imagination for literally centuries. But well, there's a paradox to this paradise. What Captain Cook didn't know, and what the writer William Mariner later revealed, was that during those exact same festivities, the island's political leaders were quietly debating a plot to assassinate him. Yeah, they only spared him because they couldn't quite agree on a cohesive plan. So in this explainer, we're stepping inside the Kingdom of Tonga, a nation of staggering contrasts, hidden depths, and unyielding resilience. Now, to really understand Tonga, you first have to understand the raw, volatile power of its environment. Think back to January 2022. The Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano erupted. And guys, this wasn't just some localized event. It was an atmospheric explosion on a scale never before documented in the modern geophysical record. We are talking about a blast comparable to the legendary 1883 eruption of Krakatoa. It severed the nation's submarine internet cables, completely cutting Tonga off from the rest of the world for weeks. And it triggered abnormal tsunami waves that were felt as far away as Peru. This is the stage upon which Tongan history is set. It's a beautiful but intensely powerful and unpredictable environment. Which brings us to a central question. Tonga is an archipelago of 171 islands, and only 45 of those are actually inhabited. It has a domestic population of just over 100,000 people. Yet historically, culturally, and even in modern global arenas, it projects a massive footprint. So how exactly does a nation this small hold so much weight in the world? Let's turn back the clock to find out. Part 1. An Unconquered Ocean Empire. 888 BC, it is a remarkable anchor in human history. Through some really advanced thorium dating of the town of Nuku'alofa, archaeologists have pinpointed this exact era as when settlers first arrived in Tonga. These were the Lapita people, who were masterful navigators of the Austronesian expansion. From this incredibly early date, these settlers began evolving a distinct, deeply rooted ethnic identity. They weren't just surviving on these islands, they were completely mastering the ocean around them. To put that into perspective, Tonga's physical landmass is a mere 750 square kilometers, but the ancient Tongan monarchs, known as the Tuitonga, they didn't measure their empire by dirt. They measured it by water. They established a thalassocracy, which is a maritime empire. By the 12th century, their sphere of influence covered an astonishing 700,000 square kilometers of the Pacific Ocean. They were projecting economic, military, and cultural power from parts of the Solomon Islands all the way over to Fiji, Samoa, and even modern-day French Polynesia. They were the undisputed giants of the Central Pacific. And that historical dominance, it seeded a fierce independence that survives to this very day. We see it from the peak of the Tuitonga Empire all the way to 1845, when a brilliant strategist named King Taufa Ahau united the modern kingdom. See, while surrounding islands fell entirely to European colonial powers, Tonga cleverly negotiated a treaty of friendship with Britain in 1900. They became a protected state, meaning Britain handled their foreign affairs, but Tonga never relinquished its sovereignty. They remained self-governing. They are literally the only Pacific nation to never lose its monarchical government to colonization. And then in 2010, they peacefully transitioned into a semi-constitutional monarchy, holding partial representative elections and writing a modern democratic chapter entirely on their own terms. Part 2. Sacred bats and social ranks. Sometimes the best way to understand a culture is to look at how it treats its wildlife. In Tonga, flying foxbats aren't viewed as pests at all. They're actually sacred. According to ancient legends, these bats are the exclusive property of the Tongan monarchy. And because they're protected by royal decree, they cannot be hunted or harmed, no exceptions. As a result, if you visit the islands today, you're going to see massive colonies of these fascinating creatures just thriving openly in the trees. It's this really vivid daily reminder of how traditional royal authority still shapes the physical landscape. But the royal family isn't the only hierarchy in Tonga. Far from it. There is a complex, almost hidden social web governing everyday life, centered around a concept called fahu. The fahu is the highest-ranking member of a family unit, specifically the sister of one's father. This places a fascinating matriarchal element right at the very top of the traditional social structure. Sisters are viewed as superordinate, sacred counterparts to their brothers. And this isn't just about respect either. It's a vital survival mechanism. During hurricanes or environmental disasters, it's actually the Fahu network that facilitates the rapid relocation of people and the sharing of vital resources. Interestingly, back in the 1980s, when this traditional structure was temporarily disrupted by modern market demands, it actually led to the rapid depletion of Tonga's sandalwood trees due to unchecked local competition. It just goes to show you, the culture and the environment are inextricably linked. Now, alongside those ancient traditions, modern Tongan identity is profoundly shaped by Christianity. The Sunday Sabbath isn't just a gentle cultural suggestion here. It is literally written into the constitution of Tonga. When Sunday arrives, the entire nation just stops. Commerce ceases, entertainment halts. It is a day strictly dedicated to church, family, and rest. It's a pretty remarkable display of nationwide unity and devotion that you just rarely see written into the legal framework of modern nations today. Part 3. Giants of the Global Game. Okay, here is a crazy statistic for you. One of the most defining characteristics of modern Tonga is its diaspora. Roughly 106,000 Tongans live on the islands, but the overseas population in places like New Zealand, Australia, and the US, it's more than double that, at over 212,000 people. Think about that. Tonga is a nation that exists largely outside its own borders, and these ties remain incredibly strong. The remittances sent back home by this overseas population actually form a massive, vital pillar of the domestic Tongan economy. They truly are a global family. And honestly, nowhere is that global Tongan pride more fiercely visible than on the rugby pitch. The National Rugby Union team is known as the Ikale Tahi, or the Sea Eagles. Before every single match, they perform the Sipitao. It's a traditional war dance, a form of kailau, and if you've ever seen it performed, you know it is absolutely spine-tingling. It's this incredible display of unity, physical power, and ancient warrior spirit that instantly intimidates opponents and commands the respect of stadiums worldwide. But they don't just dance. They win. It is an athletic footprint that completely defies the odds for a country of just 100,000 people. They've competed in 6 Rugby World Cups, famously defeating Tier 1 powerhouse France back in 2011. Tongan athletes are highly sought-after stars across the American NFL and the Australian NRL, specifically known for their incredible physical strength. They even have Olympic glory, with Pea Wolfgram taking home a silver medal in super heavyweight boxing at the 1996 Atlanta Games. So yeah, they are quite literally giants of the global game. Part 4. Future of the Friendly Islands. Taking a look at the present, according to the World Risk Report, Tonga faces the 3rd highest disaster risk of any country on Earth. The nation is highly exposed to an array of natural hazards, including devastating cyclones and the slow, inexorable rise of sea levels due to climate change. For an island nation whose highest points often sit just meters above the ocean, this isn't some theoretical debate, right? It is an immediate, existential threat to their very way of life. But true to their history, Tongans aren't just sitting around waiting for the tide to rise. They're taking aggressive action with a really ambitious energy transition plan. Historically, they've been reliant on expensive and polluting imported diesel, but they are pivoting fast. They're implementing solar home systems to essentially turn individual houses into mini power plants. They're building a massive 6-megawatt solar farm right on the main island, which is one of the largest anywhere in the Pacific. Their stated goal? To reach 50% renewable energy generation. In 2023, they even joined a coalition of island nations demanding a fossil fuel-free Pacific. They are fighting back, and they're doing it on their own terms. So consider everything we've uncovered in this explainer. This is a people who crossed completely uncharted oceans 3,000 years ago, a nation that built a massive maritime empire, that protected its sacred bats and vital family networks, that maintained its sovereignty right through the height of European colonialism, and continues to produce world-class athletes that absolutely dominate global stages. As they stand on the front lines of climate change, navigating rising seas and the complexities of modern geopolitics, one thing is for sure. The unconquered kingdom of Tonga will write its next chapter with the exact same fierce resilience it has always shown. The only question is, what will that chapter look like?